This New York socialite, known as the Catwoman, has spent a small fortune on her striking appearance.
Fame promises perfection, but sometimes the mirror tells a crueler story. Behind flashing cameras and flawless filters, desperate choices are made in quiet clinics, chasing youth at any cost. One decision, one incision, and everything can change forever. From subtle tweaks that spiraled out of control to dramatic transformations fans barely recognized, these celebrities learned the hard way that beauty has limits.
You have to realize that I've been through so much pain. It's just really hard.
I think if you want to be truly yourself, you cannot really care what people say about you.
Tonight, we uncover the surgeries meant to save careers that instead shattered confidence, reputations, and lives. So, which of these celebrities' plastic surgeries went terribly wrong? Number 10. Jocelyn Wildenstein. Jocelyn Wildenstein is a socialite whose face became one of the most shocking examples of plastic surgery taken too far in modern history. She was born in Switzerland in 1940, and for many years, she lived a life most people could only dream of. Her world changed when she married billionaire art dealer Alec Wildenstein. With his wealth and status, Jocelyn entered a life filled with luxury, private jets, expensive art, and elite social circles. From the outside, their marriage looked perfect. But behind closed doors, their relationship was far from peaceful. Alec had a deep obsession with big cats, especially lions and tigers. He admired their sharp features, strong eyes, and powerful presence. Jocelyn, afraid of losing his attention and love, slowly began to change herself to match what she believed he wanted. What started as small cosmetic procedures soon turned into something much more extreme. She underwent repeated surgeries to create a feline look. Her eyes were stretched into sharp angles. Her cheekbones were lifted far beyond what looked natural. Her lips were injected again and again. Her jaw and chin were reshaped. Over time, the procedures became more aggressive, crossing limits that no responsible surgeon should have allowed. Each operation pushed her further away from her original face. By the late 1990s, the marriage fell apart. Despite all her efforts, Alec left her anyway. By then, Jocelyn's appearance had changed so drastically that even close friends barely recognized her. The media quickly gave her the cruel nickname Catwoman. Reports claimed she spent more than $4 million on plastic surgery, but money was not the greatest loss. The true tragedy was personal. Her face became a worldwide symbol of excess and obsession. She tried to save her marriage by changing herself, but instead, she lost her identity. Though her fate was horrific, another equally sad one lies ahead. Let's move on. Number 9. Donatella Versace. Donatella Versace is one of the most famous names in fashion, not only because of her designs, but because of the heavy burden she was forced to carry. After the tragic of her brother, Gianni Versace, in 1997, Donatella suddenly found herself at the head of a fashion empire worth more than $1 billion. Overnight, she was expected to protect her family's legendary name while also living up to an image of non-stop glamour, beauty, and power. From the beginning, Donatella stood out. Her platinum blonde hair, bold makeup, and strong Italian features made her instantly recognizable. She looked fearless and dramatic, perfectly matching the bold Versace style. But as the years passed, the pressure only grew stronger. Every runway show, every public appearance, and every photograph placed her under a microscope. Slowly, her face began to change in ways that shocked even an industry already used to cosmetic procedures. Her skin appeared extremely tight. stretched so much that natural expressions seemed difficult. Her lips became much fuller, drawing attention away from everything else on her face. Her cheekbones grew sharply defined, almost sculpted, giving her a look that felt more artificial than human. The overall result was striking and unsettling, as if her face had been pulled, filled, and reshaped beyond recognition. Donatella has never publicly confirmed exactly what procedures she may have had. Still, many experts believe her appearance suggests multiple facelifts, heavy use of fillers, and possibly facial implants. The irony is hard to ignore. She creates clothing meant to celebrate confidence, strength, and natural beauty. Yet her own transformation seems to show a deep struggle with accepting aging in an industry that fears it. Today, Donatella Versace is one of the most recognizable faces in fashion, but not always for her creative genius or business leadership. Instead, she is often mentioned as a warning. Number 8. Pete Burns. Pete Burns was a pop legend whose physical transformation became one of the most shocking stories in British celebrity culture. He rose to fame in the 1980s as the lead singer of the band Dead or Alive. While his global hit You Spin Me Round Like a Record made him famous, it was his fearless, androgynous style that truly set him apart. Pete dressed, moved, and spoke without caring about rules. At first, his look felt playful and rebellious, a bold form of self-expression that challenged society's expectations. Over time, however, that freedom slowly turned into an intense desire to perfect his appearance. Pete began experimenting with cosmetic procedures, starting with lip fillers and later moving on to cheek implants and facial reconstruction. Each change pushed him further from his original face. What began as curiosity soon became an obsession with control and reinvention. In the late 1990s, disaster struck. A single lip injection went terribly wrong. The filler caused extreme swelling, severe infections, and life-threatening complications. Pete was rushed into emergency treatment and ended up undergoing more than 100 reconstructive surgeries just to survive. Doctors struggled to save his face and, at one point, his life. Pete later revealed that he nearly lost his lips completely and lived with constant pain for years. Despite the suffering, Pete refused to hide. Instead of disappearing from public life, he leaned into it. He appeared on talk shows and reality TV, speaking openly about his surgeries and mistakes. He transformed his pain into a kind of performance, using honesty as armor. His altered appearance became both his protection and his downfall. Pete once said he did not see himself as male or female, but as a complete work of art. Yet behind that brave statement was a fragile body worn down by endless procedures, infections, and hospital stays. When he passed away in 2016, people remembered not only his music, but the heavy price of his self-reinvention. As painful as Pete's story is, our next story is more shocking. Number 7. Priscilla Presley. Priscilla Presley, the former wife of Elvis Presley and a successful actress in her own right, was once widely admired as one of the most beautiful women in the world. With her striking eyes, elegant bone structure, and calm, graceful presence, she became a true Hollywood icon. For many people, she represented timeless beauty and classic glamour. But behind that polished image, a shocking and painful story was quietly unfolding, one that would change her face and her life forever. In the early 2000s, Priscilla became the victim of a dangerous con artist who pretended to be a professional cosmetic surgeon. This man targeted wealthy and well-known clients, offering private, in-home cosmetic treatments. He promised secrecy, comfort, and expert results. Trusting his words, Priscilla agreed to the procedures. believing she was in safe hands. What she did not know was that the man had no medical training at all. Instead of using approved medical fillers, he injected industrial-grade silicone into her face. This was not a substance designed for the human body. It was the type of silicone used in factories and automotive products, similar to car lubricant. Once inside her face, the silicone began to spread uncontrollably through her tissues. Hard lumps formed. Her features became uneven, and painful nodules developed beneath her skin. Unlike proper cosmetic fillers, this material could not be safely dissolved or removed. It bonded with her facial tissue in a way that made treatment nearly impossible without causing further damage. Although she went through multiple corrective procedures, doctors could only reduce some of the damage. The smooth skin and refined features she once had were permanently altered. The fake surgeon was later arrested and imprisoned for fraud and practicing medicine without a license. Number 6. Janice Dickinson. Janice Dickinson is the woman who famously called herself the world's first supermodel, and for a long time many people believed it. In her prime, she was undeniably breathtaking. With sharp, angular features, intense eyes, and a powerful presence, she ruled fashion runways and magazine covers throughout the 1970s and 1980s. She did not just model clothes, she commanded attention. Cameras loved her face, and designers wanted her look. She became a symbol of beauty, confidence, and dominance in an industry obsessed with appearances. However, as the years passed, the pressure to stay on top began to take a heavy toll. Aging, something completely natural, felt like an enemy in a world that worships youth. Afraid of losing her status and relevance, Janice turned to cosmetic surgery. Over time, she underwent multiple facelifts, chest augmentation procedures, liposuction, Botox treatments, and several other procedures. What started as small changes slowly became a long and painful journey she would later regret deeply. Unlike many celebrities who stay silent, Janice chose honesty. She openly spoke about the physical pain and emotional damage she suffered. She described infections, visible scars, and procedures that did not heal properly. Some surgeries left her face tighter and less expressive, taking away the natural movement and warmth she once had. She admitted that vanity played a role, but so did pressure from boyfriends and the harsh standards of the modeling world, which praises women when they are young and quickly discards them as they age. In interviews, she has expressed strong regret, especially about her chest augmentation procedures, saying she should never have gone through with them. She explained how the search for perfection became addictive, always believing one more procedure would finally bring happiness. It never did. And just when you think this story couldn't get any more terrifying, this next one proves even more painful. Number 5. Melanie Griffith. Melanie Griffith, the Academy Award-nominated actress who captivated audiences in Working Girl, seemed blessed with a face destined to age gracefully. She carried the famous beauty of her mother, Tippi Hedren, with ease. Her features were warm, expressive, and instantly recognizable. There was a natural charm in the way her face moved, smiled, and reacted on screen. For many years, she looked like someone whose beauty would deepen with time rather than fade. But as Melanie entered her 40s, the reality of Hollywood began to close in on her. Roles became fewer. The attention she once received started to slip away. In an industry that quietly punishes women for growing older, she felt pressure to hold on to her youthful appearance. Wanting to stay relevant and employable, she turned to cosmetic treatments, believing they would help her maintain what Hollywood demanded. What began as small adjustments slowly turned into a long list of procedures, She underwent facelifts, lip plumping, fillers, and Botox injections. Over time, these changes began to reshape her face. Her lips grew noticeably larger and slightly uneven. Her skin developed a tight, shiny look that no longer appeared natural. Too much Botox restricted her expressions, making it harder for her face to move freely. The warmth and familiarity people once loved seemed buried under layers of artificial enhancement. Melanie later admitted that she did not fully realize how extreme the changes had become. It was only after seeing photographs and hearing comments from others that she understood her appearance looked overworked. Media attention was relentless. Every public appearance sparked new headlines and harsh opinions. Eventually, she made the difficult decision to undo some of the damage. She dissolved fillers, reduced her lip volume, and allowed her face to move closer to its natural state again. Number 4. Lil Kim. Lil Kim is a true hip-hop legend who reshaped the music world in the 1990s with her fearless confidence, bold sexuality, and unforgettable style. From the very beginning, she stood out. She was a young black woman with strong bone structure, sharp features, and a powerful presence that demanded attention. Her look was natural, unique, and impossible to ignore. More than that, she inspired an entire generation of women to be unapologetically confident and expressive in a male-dominated industry. As the years passed, however, fans began to notice dramatic changes in her appearance. Slowly, her face started to shift in ways that shocked and deeply saddened many of her supporters. Her nose became noticeably slimmer after multiple rhinoplasty procedures. Her skin tone appeared much lighter, which Lil Kim has said was caused by vitiligo, though many people remain unsure. Her cheeks grew fuller, suggesting heavy use of fillers or implants. Over time, her entire facial structure changed so much that side-by-side comparisons with her younger self became almost unbelievable. These changes sparked painful conversations about colorism, beauty standards, and the intense pressure black women face to conform to Eurocentric ideas of beauty. While Lil Kim has firmly stated that she is happy with how she looks, older interviews reveal something much deeper. She spoke openly about an abusive relationship in which her partner constantly criticized her appearance. What makes her story so tragic is that her original features were powerful and distinct. They were a major part of what made her iconic. By changing them so completely, she lost some of what once made her instantly recognizable. And if Lil Kim's story isn't surprising enough, wait until you learn about this sized celebrity. Number 3. Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan, once hailed as America's sweetheart, was the shining face of 1990s romantic comedies. With her sparkling smile and irresistible girl-next-door charm, she felt like someone you could meet at a cafe, go on a first date with, and perhaps fall completely in love with. Her natural warmth and approachable beauty made her perfect for roles that required kindness, humor, and a genuine touch. She wasn't just a star, she was a reflection of a kind of attainable, relatable beauty that audiences adored. But by the middle of 2000s, fans began noticing unsettling changes in her appearance. Slowly, her once naturally expressive face started to shift in ways that felt dramatic and unnatural. Her lips became much fuller, taking on a swollen, overfilled look that drew attention for all the wrong reasons. The fluidity and brightness of her smile, the very feature that had defined her on-screen magic, grew stiff and restricted. Her cheeks gained an unusual roundness, reshaping the structure of her face entirely. The iconic grin that had lit up films like When Harry Met Sally and You've Got Mail now seemed almost frozen, barely moving, and shockingly unfamiliar. Eventually, Ryan admitted that she regretted the cosmetic procedures she had chosen. acknowledging that some decisions were mistakes. But by then, the consequences were already devastating. Hollywood opportunities vanished. Directors stopped calling. Audiences struggled to connect the new, altered face with the woman they had fallen for years earlier. The cruel truth of the film industry became apparent. The very system that pressured her to maintain youth now rejected her when she tried to do so surgically. She had aged gracefully into her early 40s, still radiating charm and appeal. Yet, the desire to preserve youth led her down a path that erased the qualities that had made her iconic. Number 2. Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers was an incomparable comedy legend whose fearless honesty and self-deprecating humor made her one of the most recognizable voices in entertainment. Rivers was also famously candid about her love-hate relationship with plastic surgery. She turned her procedures into endless jokes, once quipping that she had so much work done that her driver's license showed a different person every time it was renewed. Beneath the laughter, however, was a deeper and often tragic story about her decades-long journey with surgery and the brutal realities of aging in Hollywood. Over her career, Rivers underwent countless procedures: multiple facelifts, eyelid surgeries, neck lifts, Botox injections, fillers, and many other alterations. She became so openly associated with cosmetic surgery that it seemed almost part of her identity. Yet, behind the humor was a woman who felt trapped. In show business, especially for women, growing older often meant fading from the spotlight. Rivers believed, and likely correctly, that her career could only continue if she maintained a youthful appearance at all costs. By her later years, her face had been transformed so extensively that natural expression was nearly impossible. Her skin had the tight, waxy quality that comes from excessive procedures, and the woman who had once been naturally beautiful in her youth now looked almost artificial. Still, she kept joking, using humor both as armor and as a critique of the impossible standards women face in entertainment. The most heartbreaking part of her story was not the physical changes themselves. It was what they symbolized. Rivers, a brilliant and fearless talent, felt she could not age naturally and survive professionally. Her surgical path was less about vanity and more about survival in an industry that punishes time. She passed away in 2014 from complications after a routine throat procedure. Now, as we move away from her terrifying transformation, an even scarier story awaits us. Let's explore further. Number 1. Tara Reid. Tara Reid, the actress who captured hearts as the sweet and bubbly Vicky in American Pie, once seemed perfectly set for long-term success in Hollywood. In the early 2000s, she had everything the industry looked for. She was young, naturally attractive, and carried a warm girl-next-door charm that made her easy to cast and easy to love. Producers and audiences saw her as a rising star with a bright future ahead. But everything changed after she chose to undergo cosmetic surgery. Tara had liposuction and chest augmentation, hoping to enhance her appearance. Instead, the procedures went horribly wrong and altered the course of her life. The liposuction left her stomach uneven and misshapen. Rather than the smooth, toned abdomen she expected, her body showed visible lumps, deep indentations, and irregular contours that became impossible to hide, especially in photos taken by paparazzi. The chest augmentation brought even more problems. The implants were placed incorrectly, leaving her chest visibly uneven and distorted during red carpet appearances. These mistakes quickly became tabloid headlines. Photos spread everywhere, and public discussion about her body turned cruel and relentless. What should have been private medical struggles became global entertainment. Tara later spoke openly and emotionally about the experience. She described the results as her battle wounds and admitted that the constant criticism and body shaming crushed her self-confidence. She felt embarrassed, exposed, and deeply hurt, knowing that strangers around the world were judging her physical flaws. The damage went far beyond emotional pain. Her career suffered badly. Although she later had corrective procedures, including a donut mastopexy and additional liposuction to repair the damage, the effects could not be fully undone. So, which of these legends did you find their plastic surgery most disastrous? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.